Live.
All right. Wait, are we? Let me click on the thing. Oh, wait, I probably got to refresh.
Probably. Music.
We need something bouncing. If we get the little... Oh, damn it, cat!
You can tell me that now, and I put on SimCity 4 music.
I have a little black cat that is so into me right now. Hey, girl. Do you want to talk about games and bitch about random shit? It'll be awesome. Tell them how 9 Lives sucks. Sucks. And that everyone who eats it is wrong. Tell them that the new flavor of 9 Lives is a slap in the face. Slap in the... How much does that split cost?
I'd have to look. Remind me after we're done casting.
Actually, you know what? I think I'll look it up while you're playing your little intro thing. Can they hear us now?
Yeah, they can. They have the whole time.
God damn it! I keep forgetting that. Well, I guess it's good I wasn't talking about something potentially embarrassing then.
No, just talking to your cat.
Talk up, mother! My cat found the games. She knocked Ivy the Kiwi down. Oh no. Oh, and Front Mission. Yeah. I feel bad that she knocked those down. Those are good games. Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. There's an adorable black cat that really, really loves attention. And she's here right now. She has nothing to say about games, but, you know, she really likes dry food. Yeah, that's not horrible. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking and talking about. Yep, definitely. Because, you know, The Sims is the greatest thing since sliced jelly beans. Whatever. I don't know. It's all that Sim stuff that you like.
Well, next week I'll pick something more manly, hardcore, something like rock art.
That's right, like Warface! What's up, DJ? Hey, Grace. Those are the two people I know whose names I know. Alright, we ready to get this thing started?
We are. I think 4 minutes of music is enough. We don't need to horrify people.
Well, no, I was about to fall asleep.
Oh, yes, okay. All right, I'll wake you up then. Just give me a second. People seem to be filtering in more. Some more, maybe.
Just a little bit. Oh, yeah.
Gangnam Style.
I'm sorry, I flicked it.
Gangnam Style.
Bring this on yourself.
I do. But that is... Alright, let's do Do the intro.
All right, welcome to the fourth Angel Syndicate live cast, where we're going, we don't need pants. I am David Angels X Slonweight, director of Angel Syndicate, and with me is Matt, who will tell you a little bit about himself so you can run away screaming.
Fantastic. I'm Matt. You people know me as Sans Pants on Twitter. I also handle a lot of the tabletop role-playing on the Angel Syndicate website. So thank you all for joining us.
All right, another week, and lots of weird and wonderful things happened this week. And I know we'll just get Oya out of the way again.
You're damn right you will.
So take it. You're the Oya man.
Let me look up what happened in it this
Oya
week.
Man on it for you.
Yeah, as we all know, last week they got Shadowrun Online. I know something happened this week. I'm trying to look through and find it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little bit out of sorts this time. The people that know me know that I was doing something really, really interesting, but not at all related to do with games this morning and afternoon. And I'll totally talk about all that later. So I'm going to need my buddy here, David, to help remind me of what the hell we're supposed to talk about.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Well, Namco is in talks with them to bring games to Oya.
Ah, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yet another company coming up and saying, hey, we're going to support the Ouya too.
And supposedly they're in talks with other publishers as well.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because of all the hype that they got from their Kickstarter. They're starting to be taken seriously because there's a lot of at least perceived interest. It's one of those things that's like everyone hears about it, so clearly there must be something important going on because everyone's hearing about it. At this point, it's pretty much self-generating, and I think that it's certainly a boon for the Ouya.
Well, it's something, but it depends on what titles they're going to put on the system. I guess that's, I'm starting to melt a little bit on this. I'll admit, as more companies start jumping towards it, it's starting to get a little bit more interesting to me. But at the same time, it depends on what titles they bring to it. As far as we know right now, the only two titles we've heard are from any company that I've heard anyway, is Final Fantasy III from Square Enix and Human Element.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only two that I can recall off the top of my head. So it depends on what games Namco is talking about bringing to the system.
Well, I mean, the fact that Square Enix is jumping on us, I mean, granted, they're trying to port Final Fantasy games everywhere at this point.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're even considering it means that they think that there's enough interest there that would make them the money to port it over. I think that's good. The Human Element, I mean, Namco Bandai is looking at bringing over some of their stuff. I mean, hell, right now they're taking suggestions on Facebook as to what games people would like to see over there.
Yeah. So that's...
Yeah, and someone mentioned Mojang is eyeballing Minecraft, or Minecraft is eyeballing it seriously.
Yeah, well, Minecraft is on everything anyway, or will be eventually. And I'm sure we'll have an Angry Birds on there and everything else that you would expect. So, I don't know. Time will tell. I'm melting a little bit, but I'm still going to stay cautiously in spectator mode, because I'm still, I don't know. But they did close out at, $8.5 million on their Kickstarter? So, if they have to deliver something.
They certainly, well, we say absolutely. The entire point of Kickstarter, and this is going to be me going off a little bit on a bit of a tangent here. Kickstarter in general doesn't mean that you're throwing money at them to get a finished product. They could, for all intents and purposes, take that money and just walk away. I haven't seen any high-profile ones of those yet, but if you read through the fine print, when you throw money at them, you're throwing money at an idea.
Yeah.
Whether or not you actually get anything in return is kind of up there. Now, no company has actually done that yet and said, screw you, we're going to take this. Well, okay, most most people are only getting like 20,000 or 30,000. That's not exactly enough to run to Russia with or whatever, but it's still largely up in the air. And there have been many notable cases where the people that made the Kickstarter weren't paying attention at the time, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll get you this, we'll get you that. Oh, you want to give us $100? Yeah, we'll print you up this really neat thing and sign it and send it to you." And then they realized 500 people did that. And do you know how expensive it is to send something across the country these days? Yes, 34 cents, but that's 34 cents times 100, and you have to make sure that you factor that in to your Kickstarter. Otherwise, you're going to go broke just trying to send everything out.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
Yeah, that's my only fear for the Ouya is that they might be victims of their own success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got, even if people are putting money into an idea, if they ultimately fail, I can see this becoming a huge kick in the balls for Kickstarter alone, just because people will be more hesitant to put money onto another project if something that has gained this much notoriety fails completely.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the Ouya, I mean, to get one is $100, or at least it was at the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's not, me throwing $5 or $10 at a game that I think, oh wow, that'd be pretty neat. I'll throw $5 at it. This is
Incoming transmission.
$100. $100 will buy you a lot of blow.
Absolutely.
I like that you agreed with me on that.
Well, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty penny, and because a lot of people are putting so much faith into the system and are actually ponying up $100 a pop for just magic, it has a lot harder. The drop is going to be much bigger.
Yeah. So we're not posting about Ouya on the site. I will admit that, because largely I don't want to, because I'm still skeptical about it, and there's too many developments over X amount of time, and if we spend our time covering every Kickstarter that came out, no matter how big and how small, unless they're really, really, really interesting to a community-wide level of interest, we get nothing else done. But that's why we discuss Ouya on here, because it gives us something to talk about when we open the show, since that seems to be what we've been talking about for all 4 episodes. We've always managed to get Ouya something in.
Well, that's because it's not just the hotness. It's the first time we've seen in a while that a independent console, it looks like it's actually going to happen. I mean, the last time it happened was with the Phantom, and we all know how horribly terrible that ended up being.
Indeed. So, yeah. But the closer this does come to actual substance, then we'll probably do a large feature on it with everything we've accumulated over the months since the Kickstarter launched. Anyway, now that Ouya is out of the way, I want to sideline and bring up something that really struck my fancy this week, and that was the tech trailer for the CryEngine 3 trailer, which just is absolutely beautiful. And at the moment, we're not going to be able to stream it, but you can check it out on the site now. And I just have to say that, watching the technology change, especially over the last 30 years, it's just mind-boggling how much things have changed from where we were at the beginning. And with the CryEngine 3 tech trailer, I mean, they've got tessellated frogs. You can't go wrong.
Those sound very
with a giant frog. Look at that giant frog. He's beautiful. And I just deleted him.
Delete the frog!
Die, frog! But, that alone, the fact that they included that is hilarious to me. But not only that, but there's this giant frog that they included as part of, and as you watch the whole series, and it talks about the different things that they've added, lighting effects and the water effects, which, water. That has been one of the banes of graphical design in video games forever, has been water and getting water right. And I was impressed with the water. But then at the end of the trailer, they show their top secret tessellated frog tech or toad tech, and I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm sold. I'd buy that game just to watch that frog hop around for like 3 hours.
Ooh.
So, yeah. Not really much to say beyond that, so...
Yeah, it's good, and it's nice to see that technology is... that technology is starting to move that way, and stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not as much of a graphics guy as some of my other friends that are on here, so they would probably have a little bit more to say about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, if they can rock out that kind of detail in the next generation of games without it completely slowing down my machine, you know what? That will make me incredibly happy. Let me get some real facial features when I'm playing, I don't know, Elder Scrolls 6 or 7, or playing a shooter where you can actually look at a textured wall and be like, holy crap, that looks really textured, as opposed to the flat surface with the other stuff on it.
Yeah, well, this is it. I mean, for myself, from the game design point, which we've talked about before, like long before the site and everything else, but during the Acclaim days, is that I've always been more about narrative and gameplay. But seeing this level of graphics, thinking about what you can do with that from a gameplay perspective, especially with the environmental effects that they have, and how by the looks of things you can have a lot of interaction with the environment on a graphical base, it really enhances what you could do for gameplay potential and for story. So,
incoming transmission.
That's just wild. And that was one of my highlights of this week to geek out on, was that. Between that and Curiosity, it's been a pretty geeky week.
That's awesome. Yeah. For me, well, we're going to go back to Kickstarter for me, because I found a particular Kickstarter that looks like it's being totally underfunded, and I would like to change that. We all love indie bundles, right? I mean, I've purchased as many of those as I can, even though I've bought many of the other games before. And there's a particular one that's up on Kickstarter. It's a Kickstarter indie bundle. I'm going to link it in our chat. It's 9 games of various types. I mean, they've got a pretty sweet RPG in there. They've got an action or an adventure horror game. They've got a 2D golf game that looks friggin' adorable. They have a ship-to-ship combat game where you can actually play in first person, have other people man the different consoles, and actually board other ships.
Nice.
They have a generic RPG. They have some other artsy ones as well. And the way they're trying to kickstart it for $45,000 to get it up and running, and to get all 9 games up and running, and I thought that was a really interesting idea. I probably would have funded 3 or 4 of these separately, but being able to get access to a whole bunch of games together like that is pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely, and when it's factored in with development costs, that's for 9 games. 45,000 isn't that much when you think about it.
Oh, not even a little. I mean, this is, especially when you take a look and you see their aggressive publishing schedule, they're going to have all 9 games out by some point next year, and they're going to have 3 of them out in the next 2 or 3 months if this goes through. It's interesting to see how it works, and I think that for me, it's worth the price of admission. I dropped $20 on it, and I think that I don't think it's been getting enough exposure, and I think that it should. It really should. There's enough good games in there to make it worthwhile.
Well, absolutely. That when I hear a number like that, and when I think about games, that sounds more like the cost of a medium to somewhat high marketing campaign cost, more than to complete production and polish. So yeah, that's definitely would be worth it.
Yeah. So
spend money, God.
Oh no, it gets. Oh, please, it gets worse. I have another one too.
Oh God.
This is for my tabletop role-playing gamer friends. Everyone, I'm assuming that you all have seen The Gamers.
Yes.
Okay, you've seen The Gamers. It's friggin' hilarious, done by Dead Gentleman Productions. They also did an entire tabletop RPG called Demon Hunters that they have a series of videos out for that if you do a quick Google or do a quick search on YouTube, you'll totally be able to find them. They want to do a new movie.
Okay.
The Gamers, Hands of Fate. They want to... they're essentially expanding it. They're going to have the entire point of this one is to look at the to take a look at Pirates versus Ninjas and throw in some live action role playing aspects of this. And I think it's gonna. I am quite pleased with the stuff that they've got out thus far. They've put out really good stuff before, and they're about roughly halfway-ish to their goal. And I would love to see them succeed because we need more visual representations of nerd culture out there, and having videos that say, hey, look how much fun these guys are having using their imaginations trying to get into these worlds. I think it's nothing but a boon for people who like these various kinds of nerdery.
Well, there's never anything wrong with having positive images of fun associated, especially with live-action RPG or RPG of any kind. Yeah. In the tabletop world, having seeing something fun and everybody's having a great time, and it's not dark and nasty like mainstream media has usually portrayed it to be a good on its own.
Exactly. This is not the Your Daddy's RPG where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to go down in the steam tunnels and get high and swing swords at each other. That's the thing. I mean, I know someone who knew the kid that who went down in the steam tunnels over at the University of Michigan. That stuff actually happened, and back in the day, let me give a little bit of feedback for the people that aren't complete and total old nerd here. Way back when, I'm sure everyone's heard that Dungeons and Dragons is considered by some to be satanic and evil and all that, right? Well, there was a case in I believe it's the University of Michigan, where this one kid was really getting into they were doing like a fantasy live action thing, and he also played Dungeons and Dragons. He also was pretty heavy into various narcotics, and he was an alcoholic. He was also gay, and his parents were very, very, very against pretty much everything I just said, and probably also fun. This guy was pretty deep, and he was it was pretty obvious he was cracking. He apparently found a way to sneak down into the into the steam tunnels at his college and managed to get away. He pretty much ran away from everything, and they found him somewhere. I believe they found him dead somewhere in Louisiana. I have to double check that, but all of the news reports, especially the early ones, came in and said, well, look, Dungeons and Dragons made this kid lose all grip on reality and completely go grape nuts and turned him into this person that he wasn't. And that's bullshit. All that stuff happened because of a big group of societal pressures, both internal and external, that helped. That, if anything, that right there would detach him from reality. The pressures of having to go to college, the pressures of parents on their kids trying to make them what they're not, to make to force that kind of change when they happen to be accepted in one particular way. I'm pretty sure the drugs did not help any at all in this particular thing. And unfortunately, that's what, when you say, oh yeah, we're going to play live action role playing, you can think about 30 years of people saying, oh yeah, live action role playing, either A, that's kids in steam tunnels beating on each other and listening to heavy, to black metal or whatever, or you have the lightning bolt guy who I actually know again through someone else, and apparently he's a pretty cool guy. There is no reason to not let yourself get into these kind of things. Maybe you should stop holding yourself to such a high standard. Get down, let go of reality for a little bit, and just have some damn fun.
We'd all live longer if we had more fun.
Yes.
But, it's like I broke down and actually watched the Hunger Games movie. I have a reason for bringing this up, and this ties into it. And, well, personally, I don't see what all the hype is about, but we won't really go into that. But the second thing is that it amuses me when we hear regularly about video games, tabletop RPGs, whatnot, as being root causes for violence among people. And yet, one of the more celebrated movies that we have this year is a movie about children who are forced to kill each other. And some of the way it's portrayed, at least in the movie, I haven't touched the books, and I probably I'm not going to, but that's not really to this point, is that, some of the kids that were portrayed in the movie, the way they were acted, was they were enthusiastically engaging in the killing of their fellow children. And these are images that we're showing all over the place, and yet it's one of the more celebrated and probably going to win some kind of award somewhere. Yet video games are the cause for evil and violence. It just stood out and amused me that, we're still at that place where video games are decried, and as far as the flavor of the month, blame violence on something, we've eclipsed movies and books and everything else, yet, here we are in the cycle again, and now movies of violence, especially like this, are accepted nationally, yet when something tragic does happen, the first thing they look at is, did he play video games, or did she play video games? And, it's just stood out as amusing to me, and it's sort of an attachment to your point.
Oh yeah, it's totally a witch hunt. It's the comic books are destroying our children of this generation.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we've some people have learned some lessons from the past, and we haven't went down that particular road. But it's really easy when a terrible tragedy happens to try and find a thing to blame.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's never simple. It is never simple. People are people, and they have different motivations, and they're not there anymore, or even if they are, they're probably well beyond the capacity for most psychologists to figure out what the hell's really going on there. Maybe some people are nuts based on a long variety of different things. It's not just one thing. If we were that simple, I don't think that marketers would have much of a job.
It's so true. It's so true. So yes. All right. Yeah. What have you got to bring?
Let's see. I went over that.
Time to go through your head while you're sitting here chatting. I'm sure you can think of some of the things you had in mind.
Yep. Well, we got a few news things to talk about. BioWare's Star Wars boss has decided to bugger off and go back. Yeah, I believe he's moving back to Canada somewhere, isn't he?
I believe so. I have been close tabs on it because there's been so many executive shuffles in the last week or so. Well, actually, in the last month, there's been a lot of different executive level shuffling going on amongst a lot of companies that I haven't really been keeping track of all of them.
Oh God, yeah, the COO of Zynga bailed.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, well, it seems to be a shock to everyone else, but did no one else read the damn report last week that said, oh yeah, our chief operating officer, yeah, he doesn't do games anymore?
Yeah.
What the hell did they think he was going to do? He probably got the sweetest golden parachute in the friggin' world, and it's going to be nuts. This whole lawsuit thing is probably already taking its toll.
Oh yeah, well that he was formerly from EA anyway, so it might have been, get me the hell out of here before everything goes to hell.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that didn't look good for them at all. That, and there was a report that said that the Zynga's handing out stocks to keep employees from leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's up on Gamma right now. That's granted, I mean, their stock is worth what, $3 right now, so they're really just handing out money to, I don't know, go somewhere else. But I guess maybe for the people that think that this is all going to blow over, maybe they're banking on some of them or something. I don't know. You're the math guy here.
I really don't know what to make of it at this point. It's too early. We only have what's being said around either anonymously from sources or what's being reported on. We have the court filing that I looked through, and until and if this actually gets to trial, or we start getting more official statements, it's too early to say what's really going to be the total outcome of this. But I can see a lot of people are going to be, abandoning ship from Zynga as quickly and as easily as they're able, quite frankly, because they don't want to get caught up in the overall fallout in the end. So to better protect themselves, they're probably going to try to jump out of the way. Because there's a very, very big train heading their way, and yeah, it's either get out of the way or get run over, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah. It's not going to be pretty, and at this point, we're just going to have to sit there and watch how everything shakes up. There's a lot of money that's about to get thrown down, and who the hell knows how it's going to end up happening. Mainly because they're playing by their own rules.
Well, this is it, and it's going to have an impact on social game development in the long term. I don't think it'll outright kill it, but I think it's going to put a very heavy stigma on future development of titles.
Really? Like there wasn't a stigma before? I mean,
well, I mean a stigma from the inside rather than the outside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry I have to, put that little kick in the teeth for those of us who have worked in social gaming.
But, from the inside, they're going to be, overlooking every single idea. Well, hopefully, looking at every single idea and trying to not. This might be a good thing, though, in a way, because it might mean that, social developers will actually be pushed to be actually creative and less outright cloning of each other or even half-ass cloning each other. And it might actually push for real ideas and real innovation in the space. But I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of legal stuff that's going to happen, and I'm not a legal expert. I can only call stuff based off of what I'm thinking at the time, and that's why at this point I'll point stuff out and I'll say, "Ooh, that's going to hurt," or "Ooh, that's not going to be cool." But really, since anything can be totally taken out on a technicality, or there could be, these are people that are paid millions and millions of dollars to look at words that aren't really words and turning them into money.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're just going to have to smile and nod.
And for departures, we have two other big departures, and that was from Irrational Games.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What was it? The art director and the director of product development at Irrational have both left the BioShock Infinite team. But on the other side of things, which is equally interesting, is that it was announced Friday, I believe it was, that the executive producer for the Gears of War franchise at Epic has actually left Epic to join Irrational to work on BioShock Infinite.
So wow, yeah, they're really just.
So
this is a very big shuffly week.
It is. There are different companies are either losing key people or they're, I don't know, trading. It's like watching the NFL draft. I don't know what's going to happen next week. Are we going to have, somebody leaving from Disney to go work at, Atari? What's happening? The world
I bet that would be an interesting game. Maybe someone should make a game designer trader game. Yeah. It would be deliciously meta.
Absolutely, like a better still game designer trading card game.
Yep.
Have your base level designers, and then you've got your mid level executives, and then you've got your big name directors and whatnot. That would be fun, actually.
Only you and I and maybe 3 other people that are listening to this chat would play it though.
That's probably true, but we'd have a lot of fun. I'd love to see somebody draw down with Tim Schafer against who's the first person? Bobby Kotick. That'd be great.
All right, next topic.
Yes. Let's see.
bad news for everyone that plays MMOs. Battle.net was hacked. Like, we didn't... I mean, we knew it was a matter of time, and it's really a damn shame that it had to happen, but the Hacksaws attacked Battle.net. They've got a whole bunch of email addresses. I believe they said some passwords. I don't think any credit card data has been out, but which is kind of the important thing. But honestly, the second they start putting in account names and passwords, the real item, the real money auction house is probably a huge thing, as a certain someone pointed out in chat. There's a lot of money that's going on there, and now that they've attempted to monetize their style of gaming and tried to be the middleman, these kind of hacks are going to be incredibly freaking serious.
Well, there was a report going around this week about somebody who reportedly made $10,000 on Diablo 3 auction items. Like, that's just asking to get hacked right there. When numbers that big start floating around in the game sphere, you're just asking to get hacked. But you would think that they would have the best security they can, but you can only be as secure as you can, and then you get attacked and then you rebuild. But it's going to happen further.
It's one thing for it to happen to one of some of these free-to-play joints. It's another thing entirely for it to happen to arguably the biggest company that takes money around. I mean, this isn't just Blizzard. This is Activision as well, and those guys rake in tons of cash with their with all the Call of Duty Elite stuff or whatever the hell they work on. I don't play their shooters, so yes, you may now boo and hiss people. I am the RPG guy. But they make a ton of money, and that kind of stuff really shouldn't happen. That's something that they should have. It shouldn't have happened. No. And I really hope that there isn't a ton of fallout on it.
There will be, because news travels slowly, and people. But they might change their passwords, but. Then again, they might not. They'll think, well, maybe I wasn't the one who was scooped up by it. So, that's the problem with the average internet user, is they get, everybody will get emailed from Battle.net, and maybe 30% of the people who receive that email will read it. The rest, they'll either delete it out of hand, thinking they might be safe, or they may not even see it because it may get caught up in a spam filter. So,
as some people have brought up, they haven't even sent an email about it. This has only been up on their website. They haven't said,
really?
Guys, go change your password now, or forcing it on the next, the next time you log in, or anything that would make some brand of sense. When it comes to password stuff, you need to let your customers know early and often, hey, look, guys, this sucks, but we had a breach. You guys need to go change your passwords right the hell now, and move, and get this done while we try and fix up everything on our end. They haven't said a damn thing, not one. It's because the only reason why people know is because someone on their forums mentioned it and said, "Hey, go take a look at this page." Well, you know what? I don't read their forums. What if I wanted to reactivate my account next week?
Yeah.
What if when I played WoW, I sure as hell didn't read the forums because I like my eyeballs to be where they're at and not bleeding down my friggin' face. I would not have known that. How there's definitely a lapse in communication.
Yeah, well, that is nothing new. But what's amusing to me is that I know quite a few free-to-play MMO publishers who actually put in reminders when you log in every 2 weeks or every month that you might want to change your password just to keep your security. And they do this by default. They don't do it because they had a breach at any point. They just do it because, well, you should keep an eye on your password. You get a pop-up sometimes. They'll say, it's been X amount of days since you last changed your password. Why don't you step over here and do that right quick? So, that kind of system should be, standard in all MMOs or any money interaction system with accounts like that can be either easily or not even easily hackable, So it's mind-boggling that A, they're not communicating, and B, that they have just this level of not even putting some simple reminders to protect their users. That just seems fundamentally wrong to me.
Yeah, it's MMO communication with users, and this is something that I can kind of talk about, but not really. The way a lot of that works, it really depends on the company.
Yeah.
Mythic Entertainment, back in the day, was really upfront and told you exactly what was going on. Some other companies are incredibly tight-lipped about it until they actually have a plan and they've implemented it. Now, there is something to be said to a point of trying not to show your hand before you have something in place to fix it. Because if you pop up and say, "Oh yeah, we're totally fixing it," then all you're doing is alerting the bad guys. Hey, they know we're there. Maybe we should finish robbing the bank and get out of here.
Yeah. Well, I've been on both sides of this discussion, as a player and as a representative for the community, for a couple of different companies over the years. And, what you can tell the player base and what the player base wants to hear is always two different things. And how they react to it is always different, depending on the community. You can, you have to balance what you can say with what is really important. You can say, we've had a breach, it's being investigated, go change your passwords. Right? Obviously, you can't say, oh, we're about to nuke the bastards who did this, because that would do absolutely no good. But at the same time, you have to, if nothing else, and I've had this discussion with community managers for other publishers, and I had this discussion with Historian back in the day, too, at Acclaim. If there is a breach, the number one thing you should do is to notify your users and say, look, we've had a breach in security, go change your passwords. Because that doesn't give anything away, other than the fact that it's happened.
Yeah.
And the first responsibility would be to notify the users that they should take a step to protect themselves further. But, obviously, you can't go into details about, where the breach occurred, or, what was, you can say what may have been compromised, obviously, but whether it's simply that they managed to get some unusable data that was encrypted out the ass and not a problem, then, you still should put out that reminder about changing the passwords. So it's a balance, but the first step in any kind of breach like this is you immediately notify your users to change their passwords. That should be given and done.
Yeah, I mean that's something that should really be built in. That kind of capabilities for that kind of stuff should be built into their billing system pretty early. That shouldn't be something that would need to be tacked on. It should be something that is, it's saying, having just a little checkbox that says, or click a little button that says, okay, flip on everyone's thing inside your billing system. Okay, next time you log in, change your password. If you don't have anything else, if you want to, be very picky about how you handle it, at the very least do that.
Yeah.
That's as a player, that is what I would expect. Well, is to oh shit, things got real. Okay, go. This is how you Here's an email. The next time you log in, you're going to have to change your password. Here, if you want to implement new rules for passwords, like say, I don't know, your game is like 7 years old. You're operating a free-to-play game, and oh crap, now we finally got hacked. You know what? At the same time, let's just go ahead and implement some stuff to where you have to use 8 different characters, and one of them has to be uppercase, one has to be a number, one has to be pulled out of your ass, or something like that.
Yeah.
To where you have to, you can, start fresh with your users.
Well, the faster you get just that basic response out, has a lot of meaning behind it too. Because the longer it takes for you to notify your player base from the time of the event, that's each hour that goes by is one big stab to your credibility with your players. And especially these days, with the amount of MMOs that are out there, every hour counts, and every amount of player credibility and loyalty that you have matters. Even in the case of World of Warcraft, which numbers have been dwindling, which doesn't surprise me, but that's another topic entirely.
Yeah, well, that's another thing we can bring up here in a little bit.
But, at the same time, you have to be reactive and take care of your players first, or you're fucked in the long run.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we might as well just loop over to that real quick. Apparently, I believe at the last board meeting, they said they lost in 1 million players. And I believe they ended up trying to come back afterward and say that most of them were in the eastern territories. So, mostly Chinese had stopped or something. I'm not entirely sure how they. That's an interesting question. How the hell do they count an active subscriber if you're playing free to play?
Probably your IP on the game server.
Oh, so they just check logged in date and see, oh, well, this guy ain't logged in for a while. He must have, quote-unquote, canceled the account.
Yeah, they probably, what it would be is each month, they would have a listing of unique IPs, and they cross-reference it from month to month to see who's active, who's new, who's gone, or who's not been around. I shouldn't say who's gone, but who's not been around. Plus, they probably have information on who click the delete button for their account. They take all that data into accumulate it, compile it, look through it, and they get their numbers from there. At least that's my theory. I don't actually know, but that's what would make sense to me.
It's a better theory than most. I mean, I have no idea.
So, well, it would not surprise me if players in the East, I won't say specifically where, but Southeast Asia and Asia overall, it wouldn't surprise me if those numbers start dropping because Phantasy Star Online 2 is out there.
Do you think that has the power to pull people away?
In Asia, yes.
You know what? You're the person that knows more about that than me, so I'm going to take your word for it.
I think that and some other games that are coming down the pipe that I can't really talk about right now, those would have an effect in that particular area. For that demographic would have a bigger effect than they would over here in the West. Because, this is where the largest bulk of players is here and Europe, although it's debatable on which has the higher side of numbers. But as far as Asia goes, Phantasy Star Online is huge over there. And just gaining more and more momentum. But at the same time, they're bringing it here largely because of the reaction here for it. So, I think, not to mention the fact that, even with, there's the Panda expansion thing coming out.
Yep.
World of Warcraft's starting to run its course anyway. I really do think that. And if something well and truly new, fresh, and interesting comes out, I think we're going to see an even bigger drop for World of Warcraft in the next year or two. I don't know how likely that is. People might just take a break and go right back to it, which has happened all the time anyway, almost seasonally. But it's getting to that point now where if something really good and really fresh hit, it could be a big boom in the MMO sphere.
Yeah, and really, I mean, I don't understand why people are still so focused on World of Warcraft. Yeah, they have huge numbers, and they are really popular, at least they were. But if you start taking a look at other markets and stuff, if you start adding up all the numbers together, there are some games out there that still have pretty hefty, have millions and millions of subscribers, technically, that, would totally count. I don't know. Well, that's something we'll take a look at.
Yeah, it would be good to look at what long-running MMOs are still functioning, what kind of player stats are. I'll have to look that over the next week. I think that would be definitely interesting. And the rising stars. Because there are some, especially in free-to-play, that are just continuing to gain subscribers, World of Tanks being among them.
Well, of course, that's your personal thing, jerk.
True.
But, like, Age of Steam is starting to really pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Steam. Oh, that hurt. I hurt myself.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, it looks like it's fun. The Secret World I can't stop playing because it's. There was a stockholders meeting. I believe it was a stockholders meeting. All of the information I've only been able to find on it is in Swedish or whatever the hell language they talk over there. I am clearly the worldliest man in the world. And unfortunately, it sounds like they're incredibly disappointed with how well Secret World did. They thought that the Secret World was going to sell more boxes than Age of Conan.
Yeah,
I want what they're smoking.
I know, right? Well, on the one hand, they had the brand recognition of Conan going for that, as horrible as it turned out to be, but that's not the point. But, every critic even the ones who love the Secret World, have all said that this is not a wide demographic title.
That's right. It's not supposed to be. It's it's an MMO for people that want to think. It's an MMO for people that want to do something different. Something different is not going to make more money than something based off of a dude's work that has spanned many, many decades and is practically it's a name that you immediately recognize. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but I highly suggest that they puff and then pass.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's a decent game. It's not for everyone. I don't know how they thought that it was going to sell more. I don't know how they thought that they were supposed to be making tons of money on it. If I were the person that was sitting there studying it, I would be, okay, you know what? We're going to lose money on it at the beginning. That's fine. But we've got it started out slow. We're going to work our way up. We're going to add new quests, every month. That's something you can do with a small, dedicated team. And just take the world exactly the way it is now, and just have quest upon quest upon quest, add missions, and all that kind of stuff. Have people in the friggin' office do the voices. I don't care. But once you start getting the game, once you start getting that momentum, you have so much. There's so much that could be done there. You have a very open skill system that people can sit there and just screw around with forever. If anything, I thought it was going to end up being more like the EVE Online, the next EVE Online. It was going to be a game that you can sit there, you can screw around with. People are going to make their own fun and be able to go on like that. Now, of course, I know that I'm being a little optimistic about it, but it wasn't going to be the game. It wasn't going to be a WoW killer. It wasn't supposed to be like anything out on the market. How the hell did they think that something that's not like anything else was going to immediately pick up this huge following?
Who knows? That's all I can really say to that. Who knows what they were thinking? That's the other thing about the MMO space is everybody looking for the next WoW killer. It's like, who fucking cares? That should not be the metric that they mark their success on. But it is.
Yeah, it's yeah. All right, next topic. Please, God, next topic.
Yeah, we could spend all night talking about this. The announcement on Friday from 2K Games and Fireaxis about there being a multiplayer mode in the next XCOM. XCOM Enemy Unknown will have a 1 versus 1 battle mode. I thought that was rather interesting because after looking at the title, with the way it's going to be played out, having a player versus player mode where you can build your teams using, I believe it's humans and aliens and large walking popsicles. I thought that was an interesting addition to the XCOM universe.
Ooh. Yeah, I had heard a little bit about that, and I don't want that chocolate in my peanut butter. Sorry, guys. I don't see a need to cram multiplayer in a game that really isn't that it isn't necessary for. It looks like it might be cute. Maybe they'll try to do something like Fallout Tactics, where you have an interesting point-based system where you can go up against your friends. But the way it stands now, I'm not going to buy this game for the multiplayer.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to buy it for the multiplayer, and I don't think they're putting that kind of emphasis in it. I think this is more in the way of an experiment to see what kind of reception the multiplayer would get for XCOM. Because who knows, it may be fun. It may be interesting. When you've played through the game a couple of times, since, if I recall right, there are different outcomes for different things, it might be interesting to have some teams of, your aliens and your humans or whatever, and, take it to your friends. I mean, it's like League of Legends, only XCOM. At least that's my initial understanding based on the information we have. So it might be interesting, but I don't think it's going to be a core component. But these days, you're hard-pressed to find a game outside of the casual space that doesn't have some kind of form of multiplayer in it. Whether it's good multiplayer or bad multiplayer is beside the point. It's multiplayer. A multiplayer functionality is almost expected these days when it comes to games.
And those people are wrong.
That's not the point.
Well, it is kind of the point.
Well,
if the second you start looking at a multiplayer environment as opposed to a single-player environment, you have to keep things balanced. You cannot make the game, okay, you know what, this enemy unit, he is going to wipe the floor with everyone unless you do X, Y, and Z. At that point, you cannot give that to a player. Because you know what? They're going to know, oh, he's incredibly powerful when he does X, Y, and Z, and there is no hard counter to him as a, for the other side, so I'm going to play with that.
Well,
it makes a different game.
That's true. I suspect the way they're probably going to do it is that the choice of what you're going to use is going to be more aesthetic than it will be in actual terms of functionality and gameplay. Just because you encounter an enemy in the single player and you can only take him down with your, +5 razor that you picked up at the Quickie Mart, doesn't mean that that's going to be the way it works in the multiplayer. Of course, that's speculation. But
exactly. I'm just saying based on stuff that I've seen before.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside knowing that they are going to wedge some kind of multiplayer in the game that I was very specifically hoping was going to be single player.
Yeah,
that's my deal.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. So, but at the same time, it's Fire Axis, so I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt.
That's fine. You know what? We'll disagree on this, and we'll see what happens when it finally comes out.
Yeah. But.
All right, let's talk about our cheap-ass game of the week.
Yes.
All right. There's a cute little game that just came out the other day called Hero Academy. It's $5 on Steam. If you have an whatever, you've probably already played this game for free with all the little ads and stuff. Hero Academy, it's really adorable, and for $5 you get one type of army and the TF2 army, which is doubly adorable. And I've got some friends that have been playing it. I've watched them over their shoulder, and it looks like it's a whole lot of fun.
It is. I'm a little early into the review for the PC version, but it seems pretty cute and fun, I have to say. It's definitely worth picking up.
Oh, yeah. And if you happen to like free-to-play MMOs, it looks like they finally put what the hell was that game called? The side-scrolling one with the little dudes. Maple Story.
Yeah.
The little side-scrolling one with the little dudes.
Yes. I actually have a cheap game to bring up.
Sure, fire away.
Probably everybody has heard about Maple Story, so I don't think we need to go too in-depth on that. Side-scrolling little dudes. That pretty much sums up Maple Story. On Good Old Games, GOG, they've got the Cossacks Anthology for $2.99. I loved that game. I loved all three of them. Actually, as far as RTS games go that were kind of off the wall and a bit underground, I loved them.
I'm trying to take a look at them. Is it up over? Is it during
the link
their
on
little
chat? I put the link
No, you
right
did
to it
not.
on chat. Well, I did for me.
Oh.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Yes, that's what you say about the little gnomes that live in your house, but we're not going there.
Gnomes are real.
Okay, dude, wrong chat.
I know. I put that there too, since you can't see the other entry.
Oh, well, screw you, buddy. Really? I can't see chat anymore? You guys suck. Oh, you know what? How about you take this one forward a little bit, because I've never played this one before.
Well, it's... Oh, I have to remember. It's been a couple of years since I played it. But it was, it's got your basic campaigns, and it's a historical RTS. You have all kinds of different countries, and they have some basic units that are somewhat similar, except for, cosmetically they are obviously different. They're dressed in their countries, and then they have different units of their own. And it's like Warcraft 2. That kind of gameplay. You mine your resources with your peasants, you build your buildings, and then you mass produce your armies, although you can build huge-ass armies with this. Even back when they were first released, which was, oh, good lord, I'd have to look. 2003, I believe, was for the last entry in the set. But prior to that, you could still build huge-ass armies. You could form them into squads, and they could all march along together, and you'd have drummers, or you'd have bagpipes playing, and you could line them up and arrange them in formations to go to battle with, and you'd have cannons and artillery and ships, and it was just a really fun RTS game, especially for the multiplayer, because you could have you and a couple of friends, and you'd have these huge, giant, like 300, 400, 500 mass troops armies just going at each other on the middle of a large empty field with cannons flying and cavalry going everywhere. It was insane, but it was great. And it's just one of those really cute, well, I shouldn't say cute, but really great RTS games that were just mindless fun, that didn't require too much effort to get a handle on the system, other than deciding how you wanted to grow your technological development, which was pretty straightforward, and what kind of units you wanted to work with, because you had different options, whether it be cavalry or infantry, your grenadiers, and how you wanted to go about finishing off your enemies. But all in all, it's just a really fun RTS that wasn't graphics heavy, but it was just great fun to play. And it's only $2.99. And
I'm just looking at the screenshots they have up on GOG. It's like 1,000 little mans, and they're all like all this one same color.
Yeah.
And they really need to change out of their clothes, because red and blue stand out a lot on a green background, guys. They're probably going to know you're there.
Well, those are national colors. What do you expect? But
to get shot, like all that huge pile of bodies that was on like the third picture or something.
Yeah, and that's just one subset army attacking a town area. It's just great. You had naval battles and artillery, walls, cannon towers to protect your inner city, and your people could, I believe, if I remember right, you could garrison them into buildings too, and they could fire. It's just great. I can't say anything more about the game. I loved it, and I picked it up again with this sale, because it's just one of those fun RTS titles that never really got a lot of press back in the day. It was just fantastic, and really, the multiplayer is what makes it best. You got a couple of friends together, you play the hell out of it, you'll be roaring as you watch all these guys die, and the canister shot goes off, and your little men go flying and scattering. It's great.
You know what? I'm willing to take your word on that, and who the hell knows? Maybe I'll pick it up. Well, there's another game for you guys. All right, let's see. I think at this point I'm tapped out. Are you?
I think that pretty much covers everything for this week. It's been a busy week.
Oh, wait, we missed something.
We did?
Yes. This one's kind of interesting, but very nice for some of the people in our audience. Steam is actually going to start offering non-game applications. Does this mean we can finally get a version of Word or something on here? Does that mean that we can actually use the Steam cloud to save all of our documents, like our resumes or, our smut that we're writing, so that we can become the next 50 Shades of Grey? Have you heard anything more on that?
Yes. Well, only the initial press release is what I've heard. I haven't seen anything yet about what is actually coming out, but the first package is slated for September 5th, the first software titles. Now, I don't think it's been released yet what those titles are, but I will check now in case something has leaked. But I haven't seen anything yet that has listed what's coming, but I suspect it's going to be a lot of, like, there probably will be a Photoshop on there, some version of Photoshop, or equally on that level of photo editing. There might be some movie production software, then there's probably going to be some premium word processing, things like that. But it's definitely it's going to be a big win for Steam. And for a lot of people, because finding software, like especially if you're small, either in a small town or rural, can't talk. If you're not in a big metropolitan area, finding software can be a bitch. Or at least finding good software that isn't discounted in your local Walmart and sitting in a bin that's, 5, 6, 10 years old. So I think this is going to be a big win for Steam.
I believe it's wholly going to depend on what they offer. If they're offering their own versions of certain things for decidedly cheaper than it would cost to get it from the actual source, like you said, it is damn expensive to get a copy of Photoshop. Yeah. It is damn expensive to get a legitimate copy of Word and Excel and all that stuff. And while Google Drive, which is formerly Google Docs, does a pretty decent job of covering that, being able to have something that, being able to have that integration with Steam with everything else, especially if they, there's a lot of potential that's good there. I think that it would be very interesting to be able to share certain documents with certain other people. Like, say, if you have a team of people working on a game that's in the source engine, and you want to be able to share design documents or items that were created in your favorite 3D program, things of that nature, I think that would be really good. Really, I just need to see what the hell they're actually going to do.
Well, this is it.
There's a lot of potential.
There's a lot of potential, but we don't know enough right now as to what they're offering before we can make a call. But along with what you're saying, I'd be more inclined to trust Steam and Valve with document sharing than I am with Google. To an extent.
Well, it's not like I'm keeping my 50 Shades of Pants up there or anything, but honestly, it hasn't come to a point where it bothers me yet.
Well, I can't remember any incident where something has gone horribly wrong with Google Documents and things like that, but it's just Google is so huge that I'm developing a conspiracy theorist approach to it.
Well, you know what else is really huge?
Which is?
Steam.
That's true. But Steam.
What did you think I was going to say?
But Steam is game industry, and I'm more inclined to trust the game industry than I am random software people.
Honestly, if you trust any one particular thing to any cloud-based saving document, whatever, then you're doing it wrong in the first place.
That's true.
That is fantastic. The cloud is great for when you need to edit something in multiple places or you need multiple people to touch the same thing. It is not a great way to back up critical documents.
Yeah, it's always great to have multiple people touching the same thing, but you're right. You don't want to put your valuable stuff on there. And what's the other alternative? Dropbox, which got hacked recently, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Now, I use that for my schoolwork because they'll take just about anything, and I've been paying for a really big setup, and honestly, I keep my passwords for that pretty well handled, and that works for me to a point. That works for me for things that are not straight up documents, like homework and things of that nature. But if I'm like in the middle of writing up a certain review that you need to go and read, or something like that, then it's up on Google Docs. I can say, hey, read through this real quick.
Yep. Oh, I got that. I read that. It's going into tomorrow's cycle.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure that it looked good. I just need an extra. Yeah, hey guys, I finally got an actual review for something. It'll be going up apparently tomorrow. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. That's part of what's coming this week, and we'll have some more reviews coming out along with this rest of this week, and probably coverage on the games that are coming out, Sleeping Dogs and Fall of Cybertron in 2 weeks. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting week, I think, around the site and around the internet and around the industry. So why don't we do some chat questions if either one of us has functioning chat, because I know I have intermittent chat.
Yeah, so do I. I don't know why I didn't see any of yours. Yeah, guys, do you want to hear us babble about anything for the next, 5 minutes or so?
Or we could just sing and dance.
Not
really.
I don't do that anymore.
Anymore, but you did.
Well,
there's probably video of it somewhere.
No, that was way back in the day. That was before the internet's in video. I am so goddamn old.
I'm putting that frog back on the screen, because
Yes.
that frog is awesome.
Oh yeah, that's right. Grace brings up a very an interesting thing that came up that's actually kind of important, and talking about some of the stuff that we just hit on. Defense of the Ancient. They have the Steam Workshop thing going on, to where people can submit things and they can sell actual skins for objects in the game.
Right.
And apparently they had copied some dude just totally copied wholesale a weapon from Aeon online.
Oh yes, I read about that.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's not right." And apparently a lawsuit was thrown their way, and they nuked the dude's account and yanked all the money that he made out of it, because apparently he made a fair bit of cash.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, apparently the community said, and I had only read a little bit about that, but that does really bring up some stuff that can be very scary. There's so many other MMOs and various other games out there that being able to take a look at copyrighted material and say, "Oh wait, I've seen that before," is going to become more and more difficult for people that are being able to submit customer created things.
Yeah.
Now, to go into something that Mr. David and I actually worked on, there was a cute little game called Rock Free. That was a little flash game. It was essentially Guitar Hero Online. Now imagine that, Guitar Hero Online, that you play pressing the 1 to 5 keys and allowing players to submit customer-created little songs with all the little frets and everything.
Yeah.
How could this, is something like that simply just, I don't know what people were thinking when they think that players should be able to submit their own things like that, because that's asking for people to just grab music wholesale that they don't have the rights to and putting it up for everyone to listen to. It sounds kind of neat in theory, but in practice, remember all those lawyers we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, if I remember right, this was a couple of years ago, but I think they had a gray area in regards to that, because they weren't making money off the music, and it wasn't being broadcast live over for X amount of people. There's certain limits to the use of music in a gray area free zone, and I think that might be what it is. But at the same time, Acclaim did secure a lot of licenses for music originally for Rock Free, but it never really came to happen because, well, we all know what happened with Acclaim. So yeah. I think it was a gray area where they were just skirting copyright litigation, but I can't clearly remember now, and it may have become an issue over time if Acclaim had lasted longer, but...
Oh, you mean the second a lawyer actually looked over their way and said, "You know what? I got 5 minutes to fire off a couple letters." Yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, but yeah, the reason why that's a gray area is because it's a gray area. It hasn't been really hit on, and no lawyer has said, "You know what? I think I'm going to challenge that."
Yeah.
Now, while that makes them look like a raging dickhole, on the other hand, well, they're going to get paid, and it's going to be something that a bunch of lawyers and a judge are going to have to deal with, as opposed to people that enjoy these kind of things.
Yeah. Well,
and again, they speak their own damn language, and it can be very sad for everyone involved.
Yeah.
If they have to go make a ruling because of something like that, especially once they start getting to the point of damages.
Yeah.
It's going, that would be a company destroying thing.
Well, that's
kind of like
the
what's
thing.
going to happen with Zynga. I mean, that's
true.
The second some dude who has no freaking clue how social games work, they say, "Oh, well, how many people play this particular game?" What was that? 8-point-something million it says in this little press release you guys sent earlier. Well, you're going to have to pay royalties for all of that. So that's what. What are games going for these days? $60?
Yeah.
Okay, 60 times 7 million. Yeah, that's about how much you're going to have to pay.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Oh my God. Well, in terms of like using the rock-free example, these gray areas exist. Because you're right, nobody really has taken a look at them. But at the same time, they do an assessment on these kinds of things, and it would have to be worth the time to approach it for it to actually happen. And Rock Free didn't really have that many people playing it, even at its highest point. It wouldn't have been. Nobody in their right mind would have tackled it because there's just no money to be made there, which is the guiding principle of most lawyers.
Yeah. All right. Then let's start wrapping this up. Next week, we have some fun games coming out. You'll see my review of Achtung Cthulhu for the Call of Cthulhu system. In terms of games that will be coming out, let's see. Sleeping Dogs comes out next week, doesn't it?
It does.
August 14th.
And
let's see. Counter-Strike Global Offensive is supposed to come out the 21st. I know a lot of people are getting psyched about that now that it's actually available.
Mm-hmm. Transformers Fall of Cybertron is on the 21st, I believe. Calypso's Legends of Pegasus, another 4X space strategy title, came out Friday, so yesterday. That one looks interesting if you're a heavy PC gamer. What else is coming out? There's a bunch of other things coming out. Plus, we're going to have my review of Spec Ops: The Line is finally going to see the light of day, probably on Monday. Took me a while to get to that one. Well, it took a while for it to actually come in for me to cover it. But that, and then after playing it, I kind of immersed myself in it because I totally got my mind fucked by the story. So
I'm really looking forward to us discussing that then.
Yeah, definitely. So that'll probably be going out on Monday or Tuesday, and we've got some other things, and then we've got some interesting stuff coming in for later on this month that's currently under embargo. So I can't really say too much about it, but I might tweet a picture of it when it arrives. And then we start the long push to October and the huge game explosions of October, not counting September. That we'll see what Borderlands 2 hit. And I know we're probably going to have a long discussion about that come the time.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So yeah.
All right, I think we've got this covered, man. Give us the outro.
Bring it up, the outro. Woo! It sounds so exciting. I think I almost peed.
Almost.
Haven't really been drinking too much lately.
You should keep hydrated. It's getting hotter this year.
It is. It's been really hot this year. Anyway, thanks for listening. Here's your outro. There's a tessellated toad. I almost said frog again. It's a toad, goddammit, toad. Thanks for listening. We'll catch us next week. Pop by the site. We love you. We're leaving you. Have a good night.
Oh, and also, if you have suggestions, please feel free to go to Anjel Syndicate's website at angelsyndicate.org. Find the latest post, which should hopefully have this up there in a few minutes. And, give us some feedback. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you'd like to see coming up. Do you want to actually see our faces on this damn thing? Do you want us to put more pictures up? Is there any particular topics that you'd like to see us start reviewing more as opposed to other things? Do I look good in a hat? Let us know.
Good. You heard the